Hello, I'm Christian Gomez, and with me here is Constance McDaniel, and we'll be talking about the current issue of the New American Magazine entitled Independence, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, which focuses on the United Nations and globalism as a whole. So, Constance, can you tell us a little bit about the cover story in this issue?
Yeah, so it's actually written by Alex Newman, and it just talks about U.S. sovereignty and the importance of our independence, especially since it's going to be the 4th of July soon. So it then transitions into the United Nations and their many global objectives, mainly including the Parliament for Humanity and Agenda 2030. So Alex actually wrote a follow-up story. It was titled Corrupt Communist Leads Race for UN Boss. And he basically just focuses on Irina Bokova, who seems to be the prime successor to Ban Ki-moon. Christian, what do you think about her?
As Alex talks about in the article, Irina Bokova seems to be the possible next successor to Ban Ki-moon. Right now, she's currently the head of UNESCO, which is the UN's educational, scientific, and cultural organization. But as Alex does in the article, he looks into her past, and we see that she has a lot of strong communist ties. For example, she was born and raised in Bulgaria prior to 1990, prior to the collapse of the Iron Curtain. When the country was essentially a communist dictatorship under the thumb of the Soviet Union. And Irina Bokova, she wasn't just your average oppressed Bulgarian. She was part of the oppression, rather. As a youth, she was a member of the Young Communist Organization there. As an adult, she later joined the Communist Party, and she even served in various government positions. So she was one of the communist elite bosses. And even now today, she's buddies with Vladimir Putin. And as Alex talks about in the article, she even went to the Victory Day party where she was with tons of other leaders of other communist countries glorifying the Soviet victory during World War II. So it's a really good article. I would encourage a lot of people to read it. It's just very informative and very daunting to think of the kind of person who may lead the United Nations.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So now that I've gone into a little bit of the backstory about Irina Bokova, can you tell us a little bit about the history article in this issue of the magazine?
Yeah, so it's titled Taft versus Eisenhower, 1952, The GOP Loses Its Soul. And the article is by Steve Bias, and he basically addresses a point in time when the GOP nominated an establishment candidate, who was Eisenhower, who didn't even support their values over a grassroots candidate, Robert Taft. Eisenhower used to be a Democrat, whereas Taft was nicknamed Mr. Republican.
That's right. And also another little fun fact about Senator Taft was that he was the son of former Republican President William Howard Taft.
Yeah, that's right. So Steve actually drew a lot of parallels on what's happening today in the election, where political parties are choosing establishment candidates over popular and grassroots candidates. You can take like Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders, for example. And finally, as part of an ongoing series, the New American has been examining the voting records of members of Congress. So Christian, who do we have in this issue today?
Yeah, in this issue, I cover Senator Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire in an article entitled Ayotte or Not. And I look into, like you said, into her voting record on several key issues. Now, she isn't the most liberal member of the Senate body. She isn't also the most conservative Republican either. She's quite the moderate, if you want to use that term, middle of the road. For example, when it comes to budget issues, whereas most Republicans are typically conservative, she has been one who's been voting to expanding the budget for unconstitutional spending programs, as I cover in the article. On the environmental front, she's pretty much on board with the Democrats. She is quite an environmentalist, voting for several of the president's environmental program initiatives. And finally, I discuss her stances on the Export-Import Bank, immigration reform, where again she supports the president, and also her support for Obama trade. So it's a lot of information about Kelly Ayotte. When you read the article, you're going to wonder, why is she a Republican? She sounds more like a Democrat. But she certainly isn't a constitutionalist, that's for sure. And if you want your copy of this issue, you can order it at shopjbs.org.